Oh, hi, and welcome to the classiest review you'll see today. I am, of course, the Classy Critic. Now, for my very first review ever, I will be talking about something very popular in today's society. Marvel. Now, the Marvel movies to be exact. You know, I was thinking, why don't I go through all the Marvel movies that have come out? And then I'll tell you what I think of them. Good? Alright, let's begin. Now, of course, let's begin with the one who started the entire universe itself, Iron Man, with Robert Downey Jr. Now, this movie is actually very fun to watch. It's a movie I would watch over and over and over again. It's got humor, it's got action, and there's a tiny bit of drama in there, just sprinkled on top. Overall, Iron Man is a really good movie and is a good way to start off a universe. And what would I give it? I would give it 5 stars out of 5. Now let's go into the next movie that is a bit of a smash. The Incredible Hulk. Now, in my personal opinion, this movie is not as bad as people think. I think it's actually pretty decent for a Hulk movie, especially since the last one that we got. We don't think about that last one. Not ever. But anyways, this actually is a pretty good way to make a Hulk movie in the universe where you kind of need the Hulk. And it is even a good way to show how the Hulk goes through the drama of trying to control himself, and to be perfectly honest, the CGI is not as bad as people say, and that final fight between Hulk and Abomination is actually kind of good. Overall, I'd give The Incredible Hulk 4 stars out of 5. Now we come to the movie that only seems to have one opinion. Iron Man 2. Now, if you told me that a sequel of Iron Man was being made, I would say, yeah, that's pretty believable. But if you told me that this Iron Man movie was being made into a sequel, I would say, I might doubt that. Just a tiny bit. Now, overall, Iron Man 2 is not a bad film. Far from it. It's just not the best film out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. still is Iron Man, no matter what. Now, the plot is a bit iffy, the villain is not well developed, and all the supporting characters are just there. It's really Robert Downey Jr. who makes the movie. Nothing really else holds it up as a great sequel. Overall, I would give Iron Man 2 2 stars out of 5. Now, this next movie, people might not like my opinion, but I'll stick by it as a critic. Thor. Now, if you told me that they were making a movie of Thor, I would think it would be the worst thing ever. Did it come out as the worst thing ever? No. But it was this close. Chris Hemsworth does give a good job as Thor, but there's one problem I do not like about this movie. That is that it is a fish out of water. I'm saying it right now, and right here, in my very first review, fish out of water stories are not entertaining to watch. They're embarrassing to watch. They're just stupid. It's lazy writing, really. But when it comes to the action portion of Thor, I think it's actually pretty good. And of course, I have to talk about the most obvious thing from Thor, Tom Hiddleston as Loki. Anybody who uses the internet will know why I'm treading lightly here. Tom Hiddleston does not give a bad performance in my opinion. He's just not my favorite villain out of the cinematic universe. Here, he's okay. But if you told me, again, that this guy would be the villain of the Avengers, I would not believe you. Overall, Thor gets a 3 out of 5 stars. On to the next movie. Captain America, the First Avenger. Now, this movie is not bad. This movie is interesting as the aspect of it's Captain America, the Avengers leader and probably the most least interesting person on the team. But they made him interesting. In my opinion, that gives them an extra star. This movie is good. Now the only problem really is that the Red Skull is not the best villain. Kind of disappears by the end. We really don't know if he's dead or not. And overall, he doesn't really seem a threat. But in the end, Captain America gets a 4 out of 5 stars. Now this movie is what changed Marvel forever. The Avengers. And you know what? I'm not going to review it here. I'm going to do that when Avengers 2 comes out this year. So come back to see that review whenever it comes out. But anyways, on to the next film. Iron Man 3. Now, whenever the trailer for this came out, I was like, this seems very interesting. Seems like a darker tone, seems serious. It seems like it's changing. Now, if you told me that Iron Man was in it for about 10 minutes, then, well, I would have been a bit mad, and that's kind of what it is. But I mean, people will say that it's a Tony Stark movie and not an Iron Man movie. But in the last several movies he's been in, we've kind of gotten Tony Stark all we want. And his character has developed very well. Now, I still enjoyed this movie. The villain is kind of a cop-out, considering that it's not the villain. But overall, in the end, Iron Man 3 gets a 4 out of 5 stars. Next, Thor: The Dark World. Now, coming back from the Thor movie, as you know what I think of that, this movie is great for a sequel to that movie, in my opinion. Chris Hemsworth always gives a good job as Thor, and this movie is just another example for it. This movie kind of has everything you want. It's got action, it's got drama, beautiful landscapes of Asgard, and just all the other worlds they travel to. The only complaint I really have to give about this movie is that, well, the villain is not the best, and the humor in it is very out of place and seems out of nowhere, and it just feels weird at times. Like, somebody will have died, and then you have somebody cracking a joke over here. It just feels very out of place. But overall, Thor: The Dark World gets a 4 out of 5 stars. The next film, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Now, this movie defined what Captain America is, and I love it for that. Captain America is just not America. He's actually kind of anti-America if you really think about it. Captain America: The Winter Soldier shows that Marvel can make a cool action movie. It can even make a cool spy movie. Everybody in their roles are excellent in this movie. And then there's the Winter Soldier himself. Oh my god, the action with him is amazing. I have never seen anything better than this, really. I haven't. In the end, Captain America: The Winter Soldier gets a 5 out of 5 stars from me. Now, on to the movie I'm really excited about. Guardians of the Galaxy. This movie is so much fun. If you love comedy action movies in space, you will love this movie. If you love 70s and 80s theme songs, you will love this movie. If you love Chris Pratt talking to a CGI raccoon and a tree, you will love this movie. This movie has everything for everybody, in my opinion. Action, comedy, a bit of drama in there. Just everything you can imagine. And even amazing CGI, to be perfectly honest. So in the end, Guardians of the Galaxy is just one of my favorite Marvel movies ever. And I would give it 6 out of 5 stars, but I'm just gonna have to stick with my rating scale of 5 out of 5 stars. And that's it, pretty much. That's all the Marvel movies to come out to date. And this year we're looking forward to Avengers 2: Age of Ultron and Ant-Man. And I will be reviewing both of those movies when they come out. And remember, people, stay classy.